Baltimore City Council digs into Safe Streets hiring practices. We'll have a preview of tonight's oversight hearing at City Hall. A judge rules on 3 trials for 5 Brooklyn Day suspects, including 3 juveniles, what it means for the defendants. Nearby cities are starting to take tougher stances on crime. We press the mayor on whether he'll do the same here in Baltimore.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Well, this is a live look at City Hall, where City Council is holding an oversight hearing, and it will be soon on the city's flagship gun violence intervention program, Safe Streets. But right now, council members are hearing public opinion on bike lanes. Fox 45's Jeff Abel will take a closer look at that proposal tonight on Fox 45 News at 10. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I'm Mary Bubala. Fox 45's Mackenzie Frost has been investigating the Safe Streets program for years. She joins us live from City Hall with more on what we can expect from tonight's oversight hearing. And Mackenzie, it seems like the bike lane public opinion is going longer than expected.
Yeah, Mary, that's right. We're just outside of where the hearing is taking place, and the public comment continues. I'm told there are several people who have signed up in person as well as online to voice their opinions on this bike lane. And once that is over, then this committee will pivot and look at the hiring practices for Safe Streets. And as you know, we've been investigating Safe Streets for several years now, and the employees are not city employees. They're employees of the nonprofits LifeBridge and Catholic Charities. Those are the ones running the 10 different locations all across the city. But yesterday we had the chance to catch up with the committee chairman, Councilman Isaac Schleifer, and he says that taxpayers in Baltimore City deserve to know more information about who these employees are, especially since taxpayers are the ones footing the bill for this program overall and paying these employees salaries. He says he wants to question the director of Monzi as well as leaders from the various nonprofits to get a better understanding of how these employees are screened, what the onboarding process is like, and how Monzi keeps track of what is being done on a day-to-day basis.
There really should not be any difference between the level of transparency the public is entitled to with city employees versus city-funded employees. Monzi is the first entity to take credit for any reduction in crime, but when there's an increase in crime in those same locations, they're the first to point fingers. The previous director has stonewalled the city council with even the most basic questions, most basic operational questions, refused to answer them. And so now there's a new director, and hopefully this new director is transparent.
That new director the councilman is talking about is Stephanie Mavronis. She assumed this position not too long ago after Shantae Jackson resigned in the summer of last year. And so now we'll have the opportunity to see how she answers some of these questions as well as hear directly from the nonprofits. Councilman Schleifer also says he wants to question everyone about the mediation process, how the city defines a mediation, how those are tracked, and what happens if a mediation occurs where there is a weapon involved. That's something the councilman says he's very concerned about, given the state of gun violence in Baltimore City. Now, I'm told here that we could expect to see an approximately 30, even an hour, 30 more minutes, maybe an hour more of public testimony for this bike lane hearing, and then again we'll pivot to Safe Streets. So, Mary, it looks like we'll be here for quite some time, but we'll keep you updated and bring you all of the latest developments later tonight. We're live inside City Hall. Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Thank you. Fox 45 News continues to push for more transparency concerning the people who work for Safe Streets. In the past, we have seen criminal issues arise within the program. This includes the case of Vernon Harper. He pleaded guilty to federal drug charges. Prosecutors said he had been dealing drugs in the same Safe Streets zone where he worked. His work with Safe Streets was revealed through details in the indictment. The city did not disclose that information. Ronald Alexander was sentenced to more than 11 years in prison for distributing drugs in Baltimore. Prosecutors say he used his position in the program to try to stop investigators from tracking him. Gardnell Carter pleaded guilty last May to charges stemming from a fatal crash in 2020. Fox 45 News obtained an email from then Monzi director Shantae Jackson, writing Carter would be released following the assistance and support of Mayor Scott and Monzi. The mayor's office later told us that email was referring to emotional support. court. And Ronald Brady Jr. was accused of killing Damon Scroggins in September of 2019. That case went to trial in 2022, but ended in a hung jury. Brady was acquitted last year. The victim's family is highly critical of the Safe Streets program.
Oh, yes. Yes. My belief is that our city government is financing a criminal enterprise. I believe that within my heart.
There are people with ill will involved. There are people who are operating under the disguise that they are trying to reform in some way. And I'm so sorry to the people who are involved with good intentions, because you're involved with a program that has no intention on doing what it says that it's trying to do.
When Safe Streets workers complete a mediation, Mayor Scott has said there are forms the program uses to track the interactions. Fox 45 News has asked to see a blank version of those forms, but the city won't hand them over. The mayor told Fox 45 News over the summer the documents are privileged. The public can view police reports, but not mediation logs from Safe Streets workers. The mayor saying the public should trust Safe Streets workers are doing their jobs.
Can the public see a blank form?
I think the public should trust and know, just like they trust our police officers, that these lifesavers are out there doing their work.
At the time, Fox 45 News sent questions to the mayor's office asking what information is privileged about the document used to record and track mediations, and what is the public supposed to base their trust on? We never heard back. A judge rules today to hold 3 trials for the 5 suspects charged in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting. All of the accused, including 3 juveniles, will be tried as adults. Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell joins us live from the courthouse with more on today's hearing and details on the judge's decision. Alexa?
Yes, Mary, the judge coming to this decision after hearing arguments from the state and the 5 defense attorneys. 18-year-old Tristan Jackson and 19-year-old Aaron Brown, the 2 adults out of the 5 defendants, will be tried together. Jackson, who was wearing an ankle monitor at the time of the Brooklyn Day mass shooting, both facing multiple counts of attempted first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. We're not naming the 3 defendants because they are juveniles, but the 16-year-old represented by John Cox and the 15-year-old represented by Warren Brown are the second set of defendants who will be tried together. Both are also facing numerous charges, including first-degree attempted murder. The 5th defendant, 17 years old, and the first arrest made in the Brooklyn Day mass shooting after this Instagram video surfaced. He will be tried by himself on handgun violations and a riot charge. The judge hearing arguments from both sides, the state using evidence to support its argument to try the cases together, including video surveillance, GPS data, forensic evidence, and witness testimony. But the defense attorneys heavily argued the charges and even questioned the evidence. Some even placed blame on the Baltimore Police Department. One attorney telling the judge BPD failed that day. They didn't do what they were supposed to do, and argued a riot charge would need to come with intent. Another attorney expressed concern the jury would hear evidence pertaining to one defendant and just lump them together in a single verdict, saying 142 charges, 5 people, unknown victims, and different locations.
One of the strategies I pursue is not only defending my client, but prosecuting the state's efforts, their case. They've got to present the quantity and quality of evidence that will convince a jury beyond a reasonable doubt. And on a charge such as these, very, very serious charges, I like to remind the jury that they should, you know, their preparation, their investigation should be on par with the seriousness of the offense. And so I'll prosecute their case. They didn't do this, they should have done that, so that the jury is looking at the prosecutor with some askance.
The state did not have the evidence to support joinder, and the judge saw correctly and made the right decision.
So, Mary, 5 defendants. We now know 3 separate trials, and the dates of those trials, I'm now told, will be determined in April. We'll let you know what we learn. Reporting live in downtown Baltimore, Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
Alexa, thank you. Well, after a string of violence in New York City, Governor Kathy Hochul is taking action, deploying hundreds of National Guard troops to crack down on crime there. Leaders in D.C. also taking a strong approach, with City Council passing a new crime bill allowing police to collect DNA from suspects before conviction. Mayor Brandon Scott has said that while he's frustrated with crime, he doesn't want to follow in D.C.'s footsteps.
D.C. is a city that's governed differently than ours and any other city in the country. Essentially, D.C. is a city and a state at the same time. They control a whole manner of juvenile systems that we don't.
Well, we asked Mayor Scott if deploying the National Guard is something that he would want in Baltimore. The governor has to make that call, though. So far, we have not heard back.
Well, we had a mixture of sun and clouds today. It was nice to have any amount of sunshine after the way things have been. Haven't really had weather like this that was any good since, Monday. And, well, we're finally getting a little bit of a relief, a little bit of a break from it. 59 degrees now. We actually reached the 60s almost everywhere. We had some breeze up. It's coming down a little bit now. North wind around 9 miles per hour. This evening should be pretty cool as we head down into the 40s by around midnight. And I think that'll be the worst that we have to deal with. However, once we get into Saturday, we're going to be tracking the next storm system. So we've got the red light on for your car wash planner. Don't do it yet. Friday, we are watching for rain to develop overnight, and it will be around for Saturday. But luckily, as we headed later into the weekend, we'll start to dry out. We're going to track that system, but also talk about some much nicer weather that we can finally have around here. Drier and warmer, almost spring-like. We're going to go through that coming up.
Are you better off now than before? I'm Christine Frizzell in Washington, where the White House is working to turn the tide on how Americans view the economy.
In just a few hours, President Biden will address the country in his annual State of the Union address. While recent polls have shown the border is now a top issue for many voters, the economy, as always, is still top of mind. Christine Frizzell live for us on Capitol Hill with more on how the president might address the economic state of the nation. Christine?
Hey there, Mary. You know, the last 3 years have brought skyrocketing inflation, eye-popping gas prices, and food prices that have kind of put a strain on some family budgets. But many of those issues have vastly improved. And remember when so many economists predicted a recession? Well, it looks like we avoided one. And yet, more Americans seem to trust Donald Trump over Joe Biden on the economy, a reality he hopes to change. Joe Biden started his presidency in the midst of a pandemic. With a struggling economy, the unemployment rate at 6.3%. Today, the latest numbers show it at 3.7%. As the inflation rate has dropped, wages have risen, with a boom in manufacturing. But while polls show people feeling better about the economy, they also show higher ratings for Donald Trump when he was president. 65% rating it good under Trump, with just 38% now, which Democrats have linked to poor messaging.
I can honestly say I've never been more optimistic about America's future.
But Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders criticized the notion that if Democrats can explain all the things they've accomplished, people will come on board, adding that ignores the pain ordinary people are now experiencing. Looking ahead, the president is touting some major laws passed in the last 3 years. The Inflation Reduction Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, the bipartisan infrastructure law.
America's economy is growing, inflation is slowing, and Democrats' agenda is delivering.
Plus, new plans to go after millionaires and big corporations who rob the economy of billions in tax dollars, new structures to make housing more affordable, and a plan to go after junk fees, currently tacked onto your stay at a resort, your food delivery, and your Taylor Swift tickets, plus a plan to bring credit card late fees down from $32 to just $8.
America is at a breaking point.
Speaker of the House Mike Johnson releasing this video.
Sticker shock is hitting millions of Americans hard.
Highest inflation rate, Mr. President, in 40 years. I got that.
As Republicans blame Biden and Bidenomics for economic woes, an attempt by the White House to turn the tide. And after tonight, President Biden is set to take his message on the road with a trip to Philadelphia tomorrow. Pennsylvania, of course, a swing state. And then he's off to Atlanta. Georgia is another swing state. That's on Saturday. Mary?
And Christine, the economy always, of course, an important issue. But this year, it sort of has been eclipsed by the issues happening at the southern border. What should we expect to hear from President Biden on that front?
Yeah, remember, he just visited the southern border last week. We expect him to say that he is ready to get tough and crack down, but it was Republicans who refused to pass bipartisan legislation on the matter.
All right, Christine Frizzell reporting for us from D.C. Thank you.
Okay, your next weather maker will not arrive today or really tomorrow either. Isn't that nice to say? But we are tracking it, and it will be arriving here as we move into the weekend, unfortunately. This is another Saturday that we're going to be watching for rainfall. All right, well, let's enjoy the next day, shall we? Because today was actually very, very nice. We had the sunshine popping out occasionally here with some clouds, but it was enough to get out and actually feel like it was weather to enjoy. We're in the mid-50s to upper 50s, but many of us hit 60 degrees today, and it felt wonderful. And overall, we're going to get another similar day tomorrow with just a couple changes here. We're going to talk about that in just a second. First of all, here comes the next storm system. It's not going to arrive until Saturday, really, but it's going to gather up some strength and moisture coming out of the south and east, bringing in lots of Gulf moisture. That is going to mean a good chance for some rain and even some thunderstorms possible as we get into Saturday. And it's going to be a stronger system. Therefore, we're going to have some wind associated with this, where we're talking some gustier conditions, mainly on the backside of the system. As we move into Monday and Tuesday, we'll start to see things changing back again. But it's going to have some weather for us as we move into the weekend. So let's show you what we're expecting here. Friday looks just fine. We're talking chilly in the morning, but mostly sunny throughout the day until we get to around the afternoon. Clouds starting to thicken up a little bit as we get towards your afternoon and evening. Overnight will probably become nearly overcast, and then the rain starts to move in early Saturday morning, and we'll see that lingering throughout the day. And it could be heavy at times, especially as we move our way into midday, and we'll continue to see the chances for scattered showers, maybe some thunderstorms moving into Saturday afternoon and evening. It's still not gone until we get late into Saturday night. So pretty much a washout, as you can see there on your weekend forecast. But Sunday will be better. At least we'll have the sunshine, but it's going to be quite a bit cooler as temperatures may only top out in the 40s. So we're talking about a pretty big blast of cooler air to come in. Luckily, it's not going to last very long. I'm tracking temperatures that are likely going to be much warmer than average. And I'm talking about real spring temperatures. How warm? Stick around. We'll show you in the 10-day forecast.
A teen accused of attempted murder in Prince George's County will be tried as an adult. What's next in the case against Baby K? A judge decides a teen accused of attempted murder on a Prince George's County school bus will be tried as an adult. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has more on what's next in this case.
Well, the judge ruling very late this afternoon that the 15-year-old at the time boy accused of an attempted murder on a school bus should be tried as an adult. He says this entire young man's history indicates that he is not amenable to treatment in the juvenile justice system and that he could not protect the public safety if he was to remain a juvenile.
It was a crime first reported by 7 News last May. 3 teens jumping aboard a school bus, attacking a 14-year-old, one with a gun trying to shoot the victim 3 times, the gun failing to fire, so they beat the child. The victim's mother telling us her son was badly hurt.
He just taking it one day at a time. He had knots on his head, a purple and blue eye.
It took days for police to identify the suspects, and when they did, they rushed to get a lookout posted for 15-year-old Caden Holland, the one allegedly holding the gun on the bus. He was better known by the street name used in his rap videos, Baby K. Police sharing the photo of the juvenile Holland after learning he was also suspected in the district of murdering the older sister of one of the suspected accomplices on the school bus. We've been able to follow the case because Holland has been charged as an adult and because 7 News lawyers argued successfully against a defense motion to exclude us from the hearings to determine if he would be waived back into the juvenile system. The hearings lifting the veil on failings within the juvenile justice system. We learned that Holland was previously charged for carrying a gun, was given 6 months probation and ordered to go to counseling and write an essay. He didn't complete his program, but because of Maryland's juvenile justice reform laws, his case was simply closed out after 6 months. Montgomery County State's Attorney John McCarthy, who's not involved in the Holland case, says that happens far too often.
they're not getting treatment. They're being cycled back into the community with very, very little treatment.
In the hearings in the Prince George's Courthouse, Holland's lawyers have attempted to show the judge, Maryland's Department of Juvenile Services, could successfully treat the 15-year-old and ensure public safety when he's released. But the state has argued Maryland's juvenile programs have long wait lists and unacceptable failure rates. Again, something McCarthy, who has been arguing for change, says is a fact.
We're putting them into a system that cannot deal with the numbers of children that are being forwarded to them for treatment.
The juvenile waiver hearing has not been about guilt or innocence, but the video of the bus attack was introduced into evidence. The bus aide aboard telling the court it was horrifying. As for the driver of that school bus, the head of her union says she still hasn't fully recovered.
People deal with things in so many different ways, and this lady still running this through her head about what could have happened. It's real, and it's still happening today.
And so now this now 16-year-old will be tried as an adult. The state's attorney here in Prince George's County saying that prosecution will move ahead quickly. In Upper Marlboro, Brad Bell, Fox 45 News.
All right, we're going to take a look at your 10-day forecast. Quick look at the weekend broken down a little bit, though. We're talking about a lot of rainfall that's going to come in. Temperatures stuck in the 50s, but it's going to likely be a washout for your Saturday. Sunday, chillier and windier, but at least we are looking dry. All right, let's get over here to the next 10 days. As we talked about, we are going to be seeing a cool down followed by a big warm-up. So Saturday has got the rain and thunderstorms around. We're in the 50s as we move into Sunday and Monday. That may be the bottom, is where we are going to end up. However, look at Tuesday and beyond. 60s show up. We'll be seeing actually some sunshine during this. Upper 60s on the tables even as we move into Thursday. Late next week, it'll still be warmer, but our next chance of rain doesn't arrive until late next weekend.
Well, that's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is up next. We'll see you back here tonight after the State of the Union. Have a good night.